Hi, I'm Jen from Enfiero Web Design and Development, and I'm going to answer a question today that I get asked a lot. What exactly is WordPress? People talk about it a lot, but what is it? So, WordPress is a CMS or content management system. From the Wikipedia definition, WordPress is a free and open source content management system based on PHP and MySQL. Well, like most Wikipedia definitions, this is great and tells you nothing if you don't know what all of these other terms are. So let's break it down. WordPress is free. What does free mean? Free means it both requires no money, so you can get it for free, and it's also free in the sense that you can do pretty much anything you want with it. Next, what is open source? Open source means that you can get the source code and you can modify it to your heart's content. And now, what is PHP and MySQL? PHP and MySQL. PHP is a programming language and MySQL is a database. So basically what that means is WordPress uses PHP, the programming language, to access and manipulate the data that it stores in a database, and also to build its pages. So now, what is a content management system? It's basically a way for normal people to modify the content of a website without getting into all of the HTML code, all of the complexity, needing to know PHP, needing to understand how a database works, none of that. It's supposed to be designed for regular people who aren't programmers but do have some computer savvy to manipulate and edit their website. So an easy way to think of a CMS is as the difference between writing your HTML code and editing text in a word processor. Most of the time when you're working with WordPress, you're going to be able to see text just as you would in a word processor. You can see bold and heading and line breaks, all of that easily. Another way to think of a CMS is as an organizational system for the content of your website. For example, if you live in a house, you don't keep your kitchen supplies in your living room. You keep your kitchen supplies in your kitchen. You keep your TV in your living room. You put different things in different places to make them easier to find when you need them and not in your way when you don't need them. So similarly, a content management system puts different things in different places. So once you know how to get to those different places, you can edit things a lot faster. And more importantly, when you're trying to edit one thing, you don't have to deal with everything else. Some common terms. First one is front end. Front end is what your visitors see when they go to your website. For example, if you were going to put on a play, you would have a stage. That would be your front end. Your audience or your visitors would see the stage. Also, you would have a back end or a backstage in your play. In WordPress, we frequently call the back end the dashboard, but please note that these terms are frequently used interchangeably. And of course, we have a database. This is where all your data is stored. Now, the good news is you will almost never have any need to go remotely near your database. Some more common terms. Posts. Posts are basically blog posts. The difference between a post and a page is that this one is specifically for blogging and a page is specifically not for blogging. Pages are typically static content that you set up at the beginning. You may edit as time goes on, but you don't really create new versions of them. Whereas posts, you regularly add new posts and you infrequently will go back and edit old posts. Media. This is where you store all of your images, your PDFs, and any other uploaded files you have. Comments. If you have visitors to your website, they may leave comments. Frequently, on your blog posts, because typically your blog posts are where you want to foster a discussion, whereas on a page you want to simply provide information. Your theme. This is very, very powerful in WordPress. Your theme controls the entire look and display of information on your website. Widgets. These are a little confusing, but they're pieces of content that you can manipulate and place into various locations depending on your theme. How many, where they go, all of that will depend on your theme. Menus. I'm sure you've seen menus on lots and lots of websites. These are just navigational menus. They can be horizontal, they can be vertical, they're just menus. Plugins. These allow you to add on to WordPress's functionality. Now, while WordPress itself is free, you can get it anytime you want to, doesn't cost anything. Some plugins, which provide extra functionality for your website, may incur charges. Users. These are accounts that you can create on WordPress. So let's get into some of these terms in more detail. Your front end. This is what your visitors see. So here's an example of a website. You are on the front end, you see the company's logo, their phone number, their social media. You have a menu here, which allows you to click on and go to other pages on their site, and then you have some content for your page. This is all the front end. This is all what anyone who comes and visits the site can see. Now, your back end. This is what it looks like on your site when you log in. Now, this is the back end of one of my demo sites. So it's very simple. There's not a whole lot going on. But like we talked about before, you have posts, you have pages, you have media, you have comments, you have plugins, you have users. All of these different things that we've talked about are all here on the back end of the website. And I have a separate video on the WordPress dashboard that really gets into all the detail of this back end. Database. This is where your data is stored. This is probably the first and last time you will ever see something that looks like your database. You need a special tool, usually PHPMyAdmin, to access the data directly in your database. And this is an extremely powerful tool, and with great power comes great responsibility. You can completely ruin your website by going into this back end in this database and playing around. So this is normally only for website developers or system administrators. The posts on your website. Here's an example of one of my posts. It's got a title, it's got an image, it's got some social sharing, and this is just a post. Basically, it's just a type of content. Pages. These are your typical regular pages on your website. In this case, it's a pretty straightforward page about WordPress maintenance. Media. These are the images and other uploaded files on your website. This is the back end of a demo site, so there's not a whole lot going on. I just have a couple images. Comments. This is from the back end of my site. Here's a couple of comments that people had about one of my posts. Your theme. Now your theme is extremely powerful, and this controls how your website looks to visitors. So on the back end of WordPress, you can access themes. You'll see a whole array of different themes. Here's an example of how my website normally looks with its normal theme. Now, if I were to switch this theme and turn it into something else, you would notice a very sudden and dramatic change in how the website looks. Here we go. I switched out to the 2015 theme, and you'll notice how everything on the site looks very different from how it did before. Here's from before, here's when I activated a different theme. So your theme is very powerful and controls how your website looks. Next up, we have widgets. Widgets are pieces of content that can be placed in various locations depending on your theme. You can access them from the back end. Again, I have a video specifically devoted to the WordPress dashboard, which goes into a lot more detail and walks you through the back end and the dashboard. Menus. These are your navigational menus. So here's an example of what it might look like on the front end: home, blog, about, content. And then here's an example of the menus on the back end. So you can see home, blog, plugins. These are used for additional functionality that you want to add to your website. So here's an example from one of my demo sites, and it's got a few different plugins added to it. Now, why would someone want to add a plugin or add more functionality to their website? Here are some common examples. A contact form, such as the Contact Form 7 plugin. Comment spam prevention. No one likes comment spam? WP Spam Shield is a great plugin for that. E-commerce. Perhaps you want to have a store and you want to allow people to purchase items. WooCommerce is a great solution. Add security to your website. iTheme Security is a great plugin for that, and there's a tutorial on my website right here, envira.com, for how to use it. SEO. A lot of people are worried about SEO and getting their website set up for SEO. Yoast SEO is a great plugin for that. Again, I've got a tutorial on how to use it on my website. Sliders. A common and popular slider is Meta Slider. Social media. Share This is a very popular service. Visual page builders. These allow you to make more complex and extend pages and extend the functionality of your basic WordPress page builder. WP Bakery Visual Composer is the most popular. Website speed and caching. WP Super Cache is very popular. I have a whole video tutorial on WP Bakery Visual Composer, again, on my site. Users within WordPress. So here is how the back end, you'll see I've got a couple of users. Now, let's say you worked at a large company and you wanted to install the Chrome web browser. Your company only came with Internet Explorer and you wanted to install Chrome because Chrome is better. Well, you might find that you can't actually install Chrome because you don't have the right permissions. Well, in WordPress, you can set up user accounts that have different permissions, and here are the most common: subscriber, contributor, author, editor, and administrator. Now, just like it sounds, administrator has all the power. But the majority of what you want to do can be done with the editor. And a lot of people have found that it's easier for them to deal with the back end of their website if they create an account for themselves as an editor so that they can just see the stuff they need to regularly access, their posts, their media, their pages, their comments, without dealing with, all the other stuff. So let's talk some more about the WordPress CMS and what its power really is. The CMS allows us to apply styles from our theme to all of our content as it's displayed on our website. Some of these examples are: we can include a common header on every single page, a common footer on every single page, a common sidebar, and we can automatically add extra data such as the author, social media links, other things. And finally, one of the most fun things about the WordPress CMS is that it has an easy-to-use editor, which means you can easily format your content the way you like to, without actually writing HTML. So here's an example of a post. So you can see here some of the effects of your theme. So this background, it's got a shaded light gray background. You can see how there's a blue line added. You can see how I have a common header that I use all over the site. This header has a menu in it. I have a sidebar, which is over here on the side. And I have the main content, which it's automatically added the date it was posted, author, the categories. It's added in a photo. It's added in social media sharing, and of course, my main content. Let's talk for a minute about the sidebar. This sidebar is the most common use of widgets. So here I have an opt-in from my mailing list, I have a search, and I have a list of popular posts. So how that looks on the WordPress backend is here in widgets, you see it says blog sidebar, really cryptic name. It's got the opt-in, it's got the search, and it's got text. And I've expanded the text to show you the content here. Next up, we have the main content of our blog post. All of this main content. And that comes from the WordPress Editor. Here we are, we're editing this post. It has a title, it has the link or the URL, and it has the content. If we scroll down a little, we can see how on this editor we have a lot of formatting. We have, this is set up as a heading, this is normal text, I have bolded, I have a list, I have a subheading, and I've got a link. So all of this text is formatted so that I can see it and easily edit it on this back end. So just to recap, WordPress is a content management system. This means that normal people who aren't programmers can modify and edit the content of their website, such as creating new pages, creating new posts, adding images, all without having to handle HTML. It allows you to edit your text using the easy-to-use editor, and it provides an organizational system for the content of your website. Because when you're writing a blog post, you don't really want to think about your sidebar. You just want the sidebar to be automatically included every time you write a post. So the organizational system allows you to easily segregate different types of content into different locations. Thank you for watching. There are more video tutorials available on my website at enfira.com/videos. I have written tutorials, especially for a number of plugins that I've mentioned in this, at enfira.com/blog. And in the next video in the series, I take you through the WordPress dashboard on one of my demo sites. So go to enfira.com/videos and you can go ahead and watch it. Thanks. Have a great day.